Who do I think has the potential to be a UFC champion in each division? That is what I'm going to talk about in today's video. My name is James Lynch. Welcome to the Lynch List. You guys have been asking me for weeks to do tier and rankings videos. I'm going to try and do it going forward every week if I can, maybe every other week. Today's video, like I said, going to be talking about UFC champions in each division. And as far as the criteria goes, I tried to stick with younger fighters or fighters that maybe weren't as obvious to everyone else. I kind of had a bit of a different criteria for the most part than some of the other lists you see out there. So hopefully you enjoy this. And at the end, let me know what you think of some of my rankings and some of your rankings as well as we go through each division. So we're going to start first in the heavyweight division, 265 pounds. Of course, right now, Jon Jones, the heavyweight champion. And you guys know how I feel. Jon Jones probably not sticking around that long in the heavyweight division. I maintain this. I think he's got one more fight, and it's against Stipe Miocic, and that's it. I don't think he fights Sergey Pavlovich. I don't think he sticks around too long. So the big question is, future-wise, who's going to be champion? And a lot of people pick Jailton Almeida, and I get it. Extremely talented guy, going to be fighting Curtis Blades on November 4th. If he beats Curtis, he's certainly in the right direction to go do that. But a guy that, if you've watched my streams, I'm very high on, and he's coming off a bit of an injury and has a fight himself coming up against Marcin Tybura. To me, future champion of this division is Tom Aspinall. This guy does it all. He's great ground game, great stand-up, young guy. Yeah, tough injury in his last fight, but not something I think is like a career ender or anything. He's got a tough test against Marcin Tybura, a veteran who has been known to upset opponents. Of course, Marcin Tybura beat Alexander Romanov. A lot of people felt like Romanov was going to win that one. Didn't end up happening here. So Tom Aspinall, for me, I think wins that fight. I already did a breakdown on this fight as well, in case people were wondering. But I just like everything that Tom does. The age fits well. Again, for heavyweight especially, he's very young. Most heavyweight fighters are, mid-30s for the most part, or in their 30s. Tom Aspinall a little bit younger than that. So I think at some point we will see Tom Aspinall become a champion, and I think he's young enough, and I think he has the potential to do it as well. So I'm going to go with Tom Aspinall for my pick there. I think it'll be for a vacant title. Like I said, I kind of think this is what's going to end up happening. At the time I'm recording this, June 24th, I think you're going to see Sergey Pavlovich and Tom Aspinall fight for a vacant title. Pavlovich should be next, right? Because I think, whatever happens with Jones and Stipe, the title's going to be vacant. I don't think it doesn't sound like Stipe wants to fight much anymore either. So I think Aspinall and Sergey Pavlovich, and then I think Aspinall beats him. Again, Pavlovich could win, but I think at some point we will see Tom Aspinall UFC champion, whether it's in that scenario or a different one. So that's for heavyweight. Let's get to 205 pounds. Magomed Ankalaev, guy who hasn't really been talked about much. You see a lot of the matchups being made at 205 right now. I just saw the other day Anthony Smith is fighting Ryan Spann again. I think they're running out of ideas in the weight class, but Ankalaev to me is a guy that doesn't get enough credit. I know he had the disappointing draw against Jan Blachowicz in a fight that a lot of people felt like Ankalaev ended up winning that fight. I just think his style and the fact that he is tough to take out, tough to hit, and just, he does a little bit of everything quite well. And I think if this guy, spoke English and did more media, I think he'd be a lot more popular right now. But I just think, like, right now, if you look at, sort of the fight that I think most people think is going to be next, which is Jamal Hill and Yuri Prochazka, I think Ankalaev's a bad matchup for both those guys. And I think at one point we will see Ankalaev become champion here. So he was my pick for 205. Again, just the one loss to Paul Craig. Everyone's getting submitted by Paul Craig, even the current champ Jamal Hill right now. Don't put too much stock into that. I've just been really impressed with Ankalaev and what he's been able to do. And, again, even if you thought that, the fight should have been a draw with Jan Blachowicz, he had a lot of success in that fight. And he was battling an injury in that fight too and still looked good. So, yeah, my pick for light heavyweight is going to be Magomed Ankalaev. All right, let's get to the middleweight division. Current champion Israel Adesanya. Who do I think is going to be a future champion? Khamzat Chimaev. Now, look, I've been pushing back on this a lot. There's a lot of people who think that right now Khamzat Chimaev could beat Israel Adesanya. I'm not necessarily in that camp, but I'm kind of also looking at the rankings right now, and there's no one that really stands out. A lot of the fighters are getting older. Your Jared Cannoniers, even like a Marvin Vettori's. I don't think it's going to be tough for him to get back to title contention at this point with a couple of the key losses that he's had. I know there's some up-and-comers like Ikram and Abus Magomedov at the time we're recording this that, there's a lot of potential there. But Chimaev, I just think that, even though he doesn't have a ranked win, I still think he's a guy that has the potential with his style to give this division a lot of problems here. He's obviously got great grappling, great takedowns. He's got some knockout power as well. Just asked Gerald Meerschaert, got a nice win there at 185 as well. I think right now, out of all the picks here, this is probably the one I'm not sure about the most because, again, I think a lot of the success you're seeing for Chimaev has been at 170, not at 185. So I kind of reserve that a little bit. But, if I have to pick someone, because I got to do each weight class, right now I think Chimaev is the best shot at becoming a potential champion here. Obviously there's other choices like Robert Whittaker maybe beating Adesanya again if he beats Drakus, and then of course fights Izzy in the trilogy. There's a few other options here, but I think the safe bet here is Khamzat Chimaev to get it done, to become champion someday at 185 pounds. And I still think from everyone I've been talking to that he's not going back down to 170. So I think 185 will be his home. And I think at some point he will fight for a title, and I think he can win it. So I'm going to go Khamzat Chimaev for my middleweight pick. 170. Who am I going with? Again, if you watch my streams, you probably have a good idea of who I'm going with here. But right now, Leon Edwards is the champion. Who do I think is the man who can dethrone him? Shavkat Rakhmonov, a guy who doesn't get talked about nearly enough in the title picture, coming off a great win over Jeff Neal. We don't know what's going on with Leon Edwards. It's supposed to be him and Colby Covington, possibly. You got Bilal Muhammad in the mix as well. But Shavkat, I know he gets hit a bit. It's not that's the one maybe drawback on him, but this guy is undefeated. He's looked outstanding. He doesn't go out there and just perform well. He destroys his opponents. Jeff Neal, great win in his last fight. First guy to finish Jeff Neal in the UFC. Finished Neil Magny really quickly, I should say. I just think he has the makings of a champion right now, and just everything we've seen, he's got a good build for the division. He's a no-nonsense guy. He'll pretty much fight everyone. There's rumors about him fighting Kelvin Gastelum. I think if he fights Gastelum, he wins that. Absolutely, he wins that. I think at some point you will see Shavkat Rakhmonov win the UFC welterweight title, so he's going to be my pick for 170. And, again, maybe not, actually, what's his age? I should probably look that up right now. I was going to say, because, I'm trying to go with younger guys, right? Shavkat, I think, is under 30, right? Or at least close to it. Let me just look at that right now. I know Ankalaev's 31, so he's kind of not going off that list. Look at him, 28. Good enough. Yeah, he's under 30. Shavkat Rakhmonov is going to be my pick. And again, some other considerations. I know there's Ian Gary. I know there's Jack Della Maddalena. Certainly a lot of promise there as well, too. But Shavkat's destroying these guys. Those other guys, Della Maddalena especially, who's getting a lot of first-round finishes. We'll see how he looks against Sean Brady, but I think right now, at the time I'm recording this, Shavkat Rakhmonov is the guy to beat at 170, in my opinion. Okay. Let's go down to 155, the throne, which is owned here by Islam Makhachev. Said it before, I'll say it again, and I know this guy's been criticized a little bit for his last performance, but I'm still sticking with it. I'm going Arman Tsarukyan. Arman Tsarukyan, and a big part of this is his age. He's a younger guy in the weight class, and I think every fight, we're seeing a little bit more. Of course, a lot of people are looking at the fact that Joaquim Silva did rock him in that last fight, but hey, he persevered. He got through it. Look at this, 26 years old, turning 27 in October. I think there's a lot of potential here. I think if you look at some of the other guys in the weight class, I know there's guys like Fiziev as well who are a bit younger, although Fiziev lost his last fight. Arman's his two losses right now at the time of recording this are Mateusz Gamrot in a fight that I thought he should have won. I thought the judges should have given it to him. And he fought Islam Makhachev on short notice. Now, I don't know what scenario would play out for him to be champion. If he's fighting Islam, I'm probably going to take Islam in that situation, although I think there is potential for Arman to possibly beat Islam as well. But I think at some point Islam is going to move up. He does cut a bit of weight. So I think that's where an Arman could step in, whether it's a vacant title situation or something like that. I think at some point, with him being how old he is right now, and I think you're seeing a bit of a passing of the guard as well, right? You've got a lot of older guys at 155. You got Poirier, Gaethje, you got Conor McGregor. Well, we'll see if McGregor fights, but you get what I'm saying here. I think there's a lot of fighters in that weight class that are kind of on their way out, and I think Arman's part of this new breed himself. Grant Dawson, there's a lot of up and comers coming as well, but I think the best prospect right now is Arman. And I'm not one of these people who's looking at that last fight and saying, "Oh, we got to pump the brakes." I don't feel that way. I feel like there's a guy who had to fight an unranked opponent. It's a tough style matchup. The training camp maybe not as ideal either for that fight, but I'm still a believer in Arman. I think he will wear UFC gold at some point at 155 pounds. Okay, let's get to the featherweight division, 145 pounds, of course, dominated by Alex Volkanovski. Who knows how much longer Volk's going to fight? He might move up and fight for the belt as well. That's another possibility that would throw this whole thing into the mix. But again, we're looking for younger guys on the come up. And to me, there's no one that better fits that scenario than this man right here, Ilia Topuria. Of course, at the time of recording this, Ilia just coming off a win over Josh Emmett earlier today. Dominant performance. Great victory on that, and a good fight for him getting that 5 rounds experience. Again, the age is a big part of this too. Ilia Topuria, a bit younger here, 26, I think. Let me just look. Hope I'm saying that right. I think it's 26. That's how old he is. Look at that. I was right. He just turned 26 in January. So, and the thing with Ilia, good everywhere, right? Great striking, great ground game. Gets hit a bit, but he took some tough shots from Josh Emmett, and I don't know many guys at 145 that hit as harder than Josh Emmett here. So Ilia to me is a guy for sure that I think at the very least will be fighting for a title. I think he's made a case already at the time of recording this. I think he should fight the winner of Volkanovski and Yair Rodriguez next. But again, if I have to predict here who I think is going to be a champion that hasn't been a champion yet, I think Ilia Topuria has got a lot of potential here. So he's going to be my pick at featherweight. All right, let's get to bantamweight. Probably an obvious one for some of you, but I think it goes without saying here. Umar Nurmagomedov. Now, does he beat Corey Sandhagen in this upcoming fight? I don't know. I got to look into that one a little bit closer. It's certainly an interesting matchup and a very big jump up from Raoni Barcelos to fighting Corey Sandhagen, who I think has some of the best fight IQ in the game right now. Extremely impressive, very well-rounded. If he doesn't beat Corey now, I think at some point, Nurmagomedov has that potential of being a champ regardless, just because of his style, right? Like the stand-up, the ground game's outstanding, just good everywhere. And then of course having that Nurmagomedov last name and just, the camp that he trains at AKA, they're always producing top level fighters here. I think out of anyone at 135 right now, he's got the most promise and potential. And that's why the UFC is giving him Corey Sandhagen. And I think even let's say he goes out there and loses against Corey Sandhagen, I think it'll be the type of effort that if anything will raise his stock and will still say how good he is. But there is potential for him to win. I'd say it of anyone on this list right now, he's probably got one of the best chances at this point, because if he takes out Sandhagen, I think there's a strong case to be made that he should be fighting for the title next, the winner of Aljamain Sterling and Sean O'Malley coming up. So yeah, Umar, again, on most people's lists, he's going to be on my list too. And finishing things out in the flyweight division, we're just going to do the men's division. If you want me to do women's, I can do that later at some point. This one might be a little bit of a surprise. So current champion right now, obviously Brandon Moreno. Moreno going to defend his title against Alexander Pantoja at UFC 290 in a few weeks. But a lot of people saying Muhammad Mokaev. That is not my pick on this one. I actually went with someone else, and this is who we're going to go with. Manel Kape. Now look, Manel Kape, I know he's had a few losses in the UFC. Some of them, by the way, a bit controversial. But I just think what he's been doing lately is great. He had obviously a couple fights fall through. The Alex Perez fight, Davison Figueiredo. He's fighting Kai Kara France. The thing with me that I'm so impressed with Manel Kape is his knockout power. There just aren't a lot of guys that can finish the way that Manel Kape can, and that to me is a big advantage. And I don't want to look too far ahead here, but let's say Moreno defeats Pantoja, and then maybe he fights Amir Albazi or someone else. I don't know. I think Moreno's going to hold the belt for a bit here. But the thing with Kape is, like I mentioned, he hits like a truck. Moreno's chin at some point is going to falter. And that's where Manel Kape, I think, could come in at the right time and potentially win the title here, because I think this guy's got it all when it comes to his power. And again, he's a guy, too, that even when he's not finishing, he's still having impressive performances overall. So I know a lot of people like Mokaev. I think Mokaev has potential as well. I just think he hasn't been as impressive as Manel Kape has been so far, if I'm being honest. And Manel Kape's fought better opposition as well. So that's why I give him the slight lean here. I want to say Kape's under 30. So I think that kind of fits my criteria here. He is 29. So he'll be turning 30 in November, but I still think he kind of fits the bill as kind of a younger champion here. So, or a younger guy that has the potential to be champion. So let's go over the list just one more time and we'll recap. And again, would love to discuss this list with you guys in the comments. If you guys have any feedback, always love interacting with you guys. Heavyweight, Tom Aspinall. Light heavyweight, Magomed Ankalaev. Middleweight, Hamzat Chimaev. Welterweight, Shavkat Rakhmonov. Arman Tsarukyan at 155 pounds. Featherweight, Ilia Topuria. Bantamweight, Umar Nurmagomedov. And flyweight, Manel Kape. So there we go. So I don't know what you guys think. Let me know. Whoops, didn't mean to hit that. Meant to hit this. There we go. Yeah, let me know what you guys think of these types of videos. I'm going to be doing more of them. I've been getting some feedback in the Discord chat of different tier videos you guys want, so those will take priority first. But let me know some other ideas in the comments if you want. And again, let me know what you think of this list. What's your champion tier list of future champions? I would love to hear from you guys. Follow me on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, @Lynch on Sports. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'll talk to you guys soon. And this is The List. Hope you guys enjoyed it.